What a bully! Scott Anfield! He's been threatening that recently, and all the Burnley players run to the Darwin end.
Burnley win the next ball. It's Rory now. On the outside, decent.
Barnes! He got it! Ashley Barnes with it! What a cross from Rory! And there was Ashley Barnes! And Burnley leading the derby.
Knocks it quickly, finds Benson in space at the byline. Can Burnley get a goal here? Back for Brownell, saved by the keeper!
Burnley won it to the end! That is magnificent! They deserve that!
On it by Fulton Teller, off for a hat-trick.
He's got it! Hat-trick for Nathan Teller! Oh, he's on fire at the minute! 3-0 Burnley! It's Nathan Teller's day! And Burnley are 3 up here. Fantastic derby!
Here's Benson, can he go on the outside? Comes inside, comes up shot.
Oh, what a goal! Manuel Benson once more! That is top class! Burnley have done it! Fantastic! Clarets deserve the championship title. They've been the best side throughout the campaign. Burnley have won the second tier. What a fantastic achievement. The players have been magnificent.
Yes, hello everyone and welcome along to the latest instalment of the TurfCast podcast. Full-time show with me, Joe Redmond, after the Clarets get a battling point at Anfield. And the Clarets are now officially, well, they already were, but still unbeaten in 2026. Of course, a good point yesterday at Anfield, despite a tough first half, a draw at home against Manchester United, and the win in the Cup against Millwall. Obviously, the flip side of that is points aren't enough at this stage, even though we are picking up good points against good sides and getting through into the next round of the FA Cup. Burnley need wins, but the Clarets are slowly starting to look a little bit better than what they were, but it was very difficult to look worse, to be fair. But Burnley are building a little bit of momentum, but is it too little, too late? We'll get into that as usual in the full-time show. I'm pleased to say I'm joined by Andrew. How you doing, mate? You all right?
I'm good, mate. Yeah, good.
Happy days. And making his debut on the channel, long-time listener, long-time viewer, often in the comments, it's Dion Robinson, who, like you said, he's regularly in the comments. How are you, mate? You all right?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Happy we finally drew a game, to be honest.
Yeah, sorry, I got rid of that completely out of my head. So forget that entire thing I just said about being unbeaten in 2026. That game was such an awful game. I completely got it out of my head. And genuinely, when I was thinking about it earlier, I did think it was sort of like late 2025, if I'm honest. But we'll forget about the Brighton game and just pretend we're unbeaten in 2026. However, I'm glad you mentioned the Brighton game, Lee. Number one, to put me straight, because I'd hate for that to have gone out and stayed out if I hadn't created myself. And two, the fact that we have looked so much better since that game. But again, it couldn't have looked much worse, could it? Because in that Brighton game, it was easily the worst performance of the season. Andrew, not even going to try and pronounce that last name, says Burnley are already down and Parker isn't capable of changing tactics. Well, I agree with the first part of that, mate. But if you look at the difference between the first half and the second half last season, there was a slight change in tactics there. But I know you are very, very, very angry and massively Parker out all the time. As every time I see you comment on Facebook, that's all it's ever about. So I understand why you will be looking at anti-Parker out glasses without looking at the sort of like the positives from yesterday. But I am also Parker out, although it would be silly to get rid of him now. But I have said before that I am Parker out. But anyway, get your comments coming in. Alan's in the chat. He says, evening, Clarets. Evening, Alan. How you doing, mate? Hope you're well. Scott O'Sullivan says, evening, all. Another point on the board. It's time to start attacking. Exactly. And that's why we were so much better in the second half. Yesterday, we actually put Liverpool on the back foot. We progressed into their half. We put them on the back foot. We put ourselves on the front foot. Completely agree. With Tottenham up next, we need to attack them. We really do. Milltown Dingle says, evening, lads. Great day yesterday. Evening, mate. J Rod says, good afternoon, Clarets. I'm snowy New England here. Still happy for our result at Anfield. And good evening, Joe and company. Thank you for the video yesterday, mate. Really do appreciate it. Lee says, Parker in. Lee Richards also says, bastard. You would have seen that I put that up on the video, just in case there are any sort of like bastards watching. But bastards going down 2 this season. I'm not going to get carried away just yet with them because I can't see Oxford getting out of it. And I know Pompey won yesterday at Sheffield Wednesday, but I can't see them two both finishing above them. But anyway, this is a Burnley show. Good evening, lads, says Hyman. Obviously, Andrew, whose last name I'm not even going to try and pronounce, says Parker out. We've already established that he's very angry towards Parker. Lee Greenwood says Lucas Perez had his best game in a Burnley shirt yesterday. Fantastic going forward and defensively. I'm normally so critical of him, but not this time. I agree he had his best game in a Burnley shirt. But I think fantastic's a stretch, Lee. I'll be honest with you. There were moments where he lost the ball, although he did clear the ball off the line quite early on. So it was quite good. I will give you that. Dominic says, evening, Clarets, good point yesterday, but shame it means nothing as we fail to win our winnable games like Palace, Everton, etc. That's the problem with it. SPL Big says, evening all, what's everyone's thoughts on the Ward-Prowse rumours? We'll try and get into that later on, mate. We're going to discuss the game yesterday first. There's a few comments coming in about that already, though. Raj says, evening, boys, great point yesterday. Spurs will be there to be shot at next week. Got hope again. Mate, no. Don't let it reel you in, man. Don't let it reel you in. A couple of good points, yes, but let's not start hoping that we're going to survive or anything like that. Obviously, Lee put me straight earlier. Evening, Andrew and Dion. Dion spelt with an I. Dominic, for future comments, please, mate. Because I did get his name wrong once. I called him Theo instead of Dion, so that was a big thing. But he even privately messaged me like, my name's not Theo. So make sure you get it right. We've already had that one. Simon's in the chat, said, need a midfielder up front, centre-back in case Eldal, I think it means Ekdal, goes. Burnley fan, nice to see you. I think that's the first time I've seen your name in the chat, mate, so good to see you. James says, well played, Burnley. If anything, you're giving yourself a good run, but you're still going to be relegated. Thank you, mate, from Newcastle United Football. Thank you. I appreciate that comment until the last section, but you're probably all right. John Robertson's in the chat. He said, evening, chats. Good result, good performance. But we need to talk about Bashir Humphries. He's absolutely exceptional and getting better by game. He needs a new deal. Build a defence around him. I agree, and we will get into him, individuals and stuff later on, and he was absolutely fantastic. MJ Hill's in the chat. He says, evening. Theo Robinson, legendary Derby County striker. Joey Shilling says, winning next Saturday, telling you now, since my little one arrived in 2026, we're unbeaten. Dominic Hayes says, Edwards is a difference maker. Who'd have thought it? Sarcasm. Well, he's still getting criticism on the usual Twitter Clarets hashtags. And before we get going, I just want to give a quick shout out to Penelope, who I know is watching from home. So shout out to Penelope, the future Burnley fan. But anyway, let's get into sort of like the game then. Andrew, I'll come to you first. What were your thoughts on the game yesterday, please, mate?
It was very much a game of two halves, weren't it? It were first half, I think I said in my fan reaction, we let Liverpool dictate the play. And I know it's silly saying that we went to Anfield and let them dictate the play. Like, of course, that was going to happen. But the second half, we came out and we went for them. Like, you could see there was some vulnerability there. I think, and everyone laughed at me being that optimistic that we'd get something against them. But they haven't been the same Liverpool all season. Like,
no, they haven't. But people are right. You would literally. So one of my favourite comments was, we could be playing Man United and put our under 8s out, and Andrew predicted at least a 1-1.
But there was just like a feeling that I had that you could tell we could get something if we went at them, and that's what we did in the second half. Like, we genuinely took the game to them in that second half, and we came out with a point. And yeah, at this moment in time, points aren't the best, and we could be, we need the 3 points, but in isolation, it's a superb point at Anfield. Like, there's no taking away from that. It's just the bigger picture of the whole season. But like I say, first half I didn't think we were good, and we were probably lucky to go in at half time only 1-0 down. And then second half, we looked like we were, the better side for me.
Yeah, I can't really disagree with any of that. Just before we do move on, though, Dominic says, like the stream, people. Dominic, you're an absolute legend. Thank you for always reminding me. Yes, if you are watching on YouTube, just give it a quick like. All you need to do, it don't cost you anything. Just give it a quick like, and it really does boost the stream out to more and more people. And, of course, if you're watching on Facebook as well, please do the same. Yeah, my interpretation of the match yesterday is pretty similar to yours. First off, I'm like, what is this? It's just typical Parker, just sitting back, waiting for the inevitable. The difference was when we actually went behind, I agree with you, though, Andrew. We were lucky to go in at 1-0, just 1-0. But at the same time, as what I said in my fan reaction, we were also somewhat unfortunate because of the timing that it happened. When it happened, it's always such a late goal, and you just think, right, just a couple more minutes and we'll get to half time. Excuse me. But obviously they missed the penalty. They had one sort of like not cleared off the line, but Perez blocked one going across the goal quite early on. And obviously the goal, it could very easily have been 3-0 at half time. And in other games this season, that's been the difference. It would have been 3-0 at half time and we'd have been out of it. But second half, as I've already said, we stepped onto Liverpool, and that was the difference. We stepped onto them, put them on the back foot, actually played attacking football somewhat, not gung-ho, obviously, but as I said in my sort of like post-weekend ponder after the Millwall game, we played with the handbrake still on, but a couple of notches further down. And look at how we scored that goal. One touch, passing football, getting forward, getting bodies forward, getting players in the box. A great pass by Florentino, a great finish by Humphries as well. We were absolutely fantastic in that moment. In that second half, played really, really, really well, and probably can't really come away with that and say we didn't deserve a point in the end of it because of the second half. But on the flip side of that, as the stats are on your screen now, you could probably argue that Liverpool deserved to win. Expected goals, 3.19 to our 0.4. I know people don't like that stat, but I feel like it's a good barometer of the sort of like the quality of the chances that you're having. Ball possession, 73% to our 27. 32 shots to our 7. 11 on target. Dubravka was busy, but he played well. To our only shot on target, obviously, which we scored from. 3 big chances to 0 and 9 corner kicks to our 1. We did beat them on yellow cards, though, so that's good to see. Look at our passes, by the way, 191 successful passes. So yeah, you could argue that we were somewhat fortunate, but I feel like with that second half, how much better we were in the second half, we came away from it thinking probably deserved that. Dion, come to you next, mate. What were your thoughts on yesterday's result and performance?
Yeah, I thought the first half was a bit Daesh-esque in a way. Like, picture us when we got that 1-0 win against Liverpool, and we just defended the entire game, and then Barnes last minute winner. It felt like that for the first half. And then the second half, when we went behind, it's just the same again. We start actually pressing and we look good. It's just a shame that we can't do it earlier on in the game. Like, we just wait until there's too much pressure on us, and then we decide to change it up when we've gone behind instead of doing it proactively.
Yeah. I agree with that. I would like to see similar sort of that thing to what Andrew says here. He stopped criticising Parker for a second, but he says we only ever try to score when we go behind, which is probably more of a sort of like a backhander, sort of like disrespect towards Parker. But I would agree with that, to be fair. And I feel like in the second half, we took the game towards them more. Jordan's in the chat. We're getting a lot of stick on Twitter again as Jordan. Always texts it very, very well, though. It's not off me this time, though. He says, XG is nonsense. How was that Edwards chance not a big chance? I don't think XG is nonsense, but I do agree the Edwards chance. I don't see how it's not a big chance. Shout out to Sean Rubinho, by the way. It says here there's not a comment because he sent us 99 stars on Facebook, so I do appreciate that, mate. Thank you very much. If you do want to support the stream, you can send stars, or you can send sort of like, I can't remember what it's called on YouTube, super chats, or you can become a member, or of course you can just sort of like the stream and things like that. But before we get into sort of like the main talking points, in fact, no, we will get into the main talking points. Andrew, I'll come to you first on this one, and I think I'm going to be one of the only ones here that thinks this, because I know, Andrew, you have some very thick claret tinted glasses, and I'm not even referring. I just realised as soon as I said that you actually are wearing. You have very, very thick claret tinted glasses. What were your thoughts on the penalty incident, mate? What did you think? Because I think I seem to remember you saying something in the chat, so I won't ruin it. But what were your thoughts on the penalty incident? And please get your comments in if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube or even Instagram as well. I do quickly check them every now and then. Unfortunately, I can't bring them on screen. But let me know what you think in the comments below on this penalty. But Andrew, I'll come to you first. What's your thoughts on it?
I think Gakpo has made a meal of it and taken advantage of the fact that it's Little Burnley at Anfield and thrown himself to the floor. I think there is contact from Florentino, but like there is knee-to-knee contact from Florentino. There's no argument about that. But if you're going to start giving penalties out for every little bit of contact, you know, the game's gone, in my opinion. Like, that's not...
The game has gone. I'll give you that. The game has gone.
Like that, for me, there was just as much contact, if not more, down the other end when Anthony got shoved in the back. And even me with my claret tinted glasses on didn't think that was a penalty either.
Claret tinted glasses.
So yeah, it's not a penalty. For me, it's very, very soft. Like I said, there's definitely contact, like knee-to-knee contact. I can't argue that. But Gakpo throws himself to the floor and makes a massive meal of it. And as soon as he does that, the referee was always going to give it on field, and VAR were never going to overturn it. So it was just one of them. But thankfully, it mattered nothing in the end anyway.
It didn't matter. No, it didn't in the end, thankfully. Dion, your thoughts on it, mate?
See, I think it's a pen. Because if you look at the picture there, he's gone above his knee, around the outside of his leg, so he can't run. He can't go anywhere without running through Florentino there, so he's blocked him off. Like, it's a pen all day for me. I do think it's been made a meal out of, but you can't do that.
It's one of them for me where it's soft, but it's a 2025, I said this yesterday, /2026 penalty. You don't get them 10 years ago at all. But you said it yourself, Andrew, and I'll put the picture back on screen now. There's obvious contact there. There's obvious knee-to-knee contact. Gakpo can't go anywhere at that point. So for me, I think it's a penalty. I think it's silly from Florentino. Why is he dangling his leg there in the penalty area? You're giving the referee a decision to make. And again, it's a similar thing. Like, you can argue till the cows come on whether or not we get that up the other end, which we probably don't. I mean, we definitely don't. Let's have it right.
No, we all know that.
That doesn't necessarily mean that it's not a penalty. We would all be screaming for that if it was a penalty. And I think, I'll be honest, I think it is a penalty, personally. I just think that you mentioned it yourself, contact is there. And that's the reason why he goes down, because of the contact. Just don't leave your leg. He's not even going towards goal. He's going the opposite way.
There is definitely contact there, but it's not. It's a contact sport. Like this, there's no. If you're going to stop, if you're going to stop any form of contact like that, like we might as well all just pack up and go on, because. You're going to clash your knees together when you're both going for the ball. There's no way that you bang your knees together and you go like that, the way that Gakpo did. Like, there's no way.
No, it does make the most of it, but if he doesn't make the most of it, he doesn't get it. I feel like we're in a position now where players are throwing themselves to the ground on the slightest bit of contact, because they know that if they don't go down, they won't get it. Like, you've seen clearer penalties or clearer bits of contact where the player doesn't go down and he doesn't get the penalty when he probably should have done, because he doesn't go down and he tries to stay on his feet. So now players are just throwing themselves down.
Yeah, I'd probably agree, but for me, it's contact, so it's still not a penalty. There is contact, but it's still not a penalty for me.
Yep, fair enough. Dominic says, I put this one on screen, says never a penalty, ridiculous. Simon says never a penalty. Notorious says it's one of those penalties that's reserved for the top 6 teams. MJ Hilser says, whenever you leave your leg out, you're giving the referee a decision. That's what I said. Simon Harvey says, in the minority, but I think it's an obvious strip and a penalty. I completely agree. I just think it's silly from Florentino there. Lee says, referee's decision penalty. Andrew says, very soft penalty. Stuart says, spot on, Andrew. Dominic says, it's a contact sport. Lahang says, always a pen, but if it's in the middle of a pitch, it's debatable. MJ Hills kind of agrees with that. He says, would that be a free kick if it was anywhere else on the pitch? Robert Darville says, watching the game, I thought it was soft. Watching on Match of the Day, it's a penalty. He was sticking his leg out all game, and he was as well. That's what frustrates me with Florentino, because he's a good ball winner, but for some reason in the box, he's just dangling his leg like he's dipping his toe in a puddle. Like, stop it. Either go in Ray and win the ball, or don't do it at all. Sean Robinho says, had we started with Marcus Edwards, then who knows where we'd be? You bring so much to the team. I agree with that, mate. We'll come back to that in a bit, because we're talking about sort of the penalty now. Brian Gott says, just coming together and made the most of it like he does most weeks. Very soft penalty. Alan says, there was a similar situation in the box 5 minutes later, nothing. VAR checking the badge again. Lahang says, always a pen. Sticking the leg out, even if it's soft, it's a clear pen. Mr. Biscuit says, Dion is obviously drunk. He probably thinks I'm drunk as well. James says, for some reason it's not coming up on screen. There we go. Right. Right. Hold on. I think I've got a bit of a bad connection here, so we'll just carry on, see if you can all name it. James says, if that was a penalty, Let's bring it back up now. There we go. If that was a penalty, why don't they give a penalty for the goings on at every corner? You could argue that, but that's a different debate, mate. But then you'd be getting penalties for everything. Christian says, I don't think we get that pen, if I'm honest. I'd agree with you. John Robertson says, it's the softest clear penalty you'll get. If that's on Brogic Saturday, we're all screaming for it. It's a pen as soft
We're all screaming for it now.
Is. I think that's it.
We're screaming for it now because there's been a precedent set. If that was...
I think we're screaming for it anyway. There's contact.
If that were last year in the Championship, I don't think we screamed for it.
Probably not in the Championship, but it's one of them in the Championship. You kind of accept that referees do miss them. It's one of them things when you bring VR into the conversation, it makes it more of a... So you then argue about the VAR side of things. Anyway, let's get into the Liverpool goal. Dion, I'll come to you first on this one. My issue with this, it's a good finish from Wirtz. No issue with the goal, no issue with the goalkeeping, but it's poor defending from Burnley, and it's poor defending from especially Kyle Walker, who has been quite poor for some time now, and is starting to frustrate the life out of me, if I'm being honest with you. But this is the incident, sort of like, I can't remember who it is down the side. Is it Gakpo? It's not Gakpo, is it? I can't remember who he's up against here. Curtis Jones. I think it's Curtis Jones. He kind of wins the ball there. You can see that he's got his foot on the ball, Kyle Walker. He's kind of won the ball there. And then if you go to the next one, he gives up. Like, he wins the ball. I obviously can't show the clip, which would ram it home further. So if those of you who have seen the goal will know what I'm talking about, and obviously Dion and Andrew will have done, and most people in the comments will have seen it as well. But he actually wins the ball here. He has his foot on the ball, and then he just kind of like gives up. And then if you look at where Curtis Jones is at this point, where he's now got past Tuanzebe, because Tuanzebe is sort of like they're coming over at this point, and Kyle Walker wins it. And I think Kyle Walker sees Tuanzebe coming and thinks he's just going to mop it up. But he just stops. And it's just one of those things you're taught in primary school, isn't it, Dion, where you just, if in doubt, stick it out. And Kyle just leaves it for somebody else. Next thing you know, Curtis Jones is doing the classic FIFA run where you're down the sort of that side and you're bringing it back in. He obviously has a shot instead of squaring it, but it does eventually fall to Wirtz on the edge of the box, who has a good finish, to be fair. I've got no issues with the goal, but I think it's poor defending from Kyle Walker, who should do better. But what are your thoughts, mate, please?
Yeah, I think it's an initial... After he wins the tackle, if it's a bad touch, and then he just thinks Tuanzebe's going to deal with it, but then Tuanzebe gets made like... It looks like a wet lettuce just flapping. Like, it goes full panic mode, and Walker's just sat there thinking... It's not on me anymore, is it? I think it should be doing better, but at the same time, Tuanzebe, all he has to do is stand the man up. But he's like panicking, pushing, and he's just got ran around. Yeah,
fair enough. Dirk's official says that's Ekatike. Sorry, mate. I thought it was Curtis Jones, obviously. But John Craven says Walker knees dropping. Again, Chris sort of like corrects me. He says it was Ekatike that runs to the byline. But a lot of people agreeing with you here, Dion. Dominic H says Tuanzebe is equally as bad for me. Notorious says awful from Tuanzebe too. A player who looks so physically strong but loses every important battle. He had ample opportunity to bail Walker out there. Andrew, you're nodding. Is that where you sort of like fall?
Yeah, Walker just gives up completely and just stands there watching, like the rest of the away end, just watching the ball go past him. And then Tuanzebe's just nowhere near strong enough. And for me, that's been my issue with him all season. Like, I don't rate Tuanzebe anyway, but yeah, they just both should do so much better. And then if you look at how much space Wirtz has got, and I know that he's a good player, and I know that it's a hell of a finish, and you can't take anything away from that. There's no one watching for him apart from Walker, just stood there. It was just, it was a really poor goal to concede at a really bad time, especially with how well we'd managed to defend up until that point.
Yeah.
Walker
Jordan
really
says here,
shocking.
Sorry, Dion, but Jordan says here, don't think Walker is helped by playing as a wing back. His age, it is a big ask to play as a wing back. I'm also not sure his heart is in it, given how the season has gone. I'd agree with the first bit. I think the reason why the 5 at the back doesn't work so good for us in terms of going forward, we have looked better at it recently in the last couple of games, is because our fullbacks just aren't good enough and aren't good enough at getting forward with it, especially Kyle Walker at the minute. Perez has looked better. Hartman looked really good at the start of the season. And so did Walker, by the way. And I think that's why in some games it kind of worked. We'll get in the wing backs forward, and obviously I can't remember which every single game we played 5 at the back because we did play some where we were 4 at the back. But Walker and Hartman started the season really, really well. Since then, they've both kind of faded. Obviously, Hartman's now not in the side. But that brings me on to something I was going to ask. And have I seen a comment here? Yeah, it's from Lee. This is something I was going to ask. And obviously, Andrew, I'll come to you first. I'll come to you afterwards. He says, I play Walker at right centre-back in the back 5, then play Son at right wing-back. I'm not sure about playing Walker at right centre-back. He'd probably suit it more there, but he's making too many mistakes for me. Again, that might be eradicated at right centre-back because he's not being asked to play as a wing-back. But I would be looking at maybe now giving Son a run out. I'm not sure if he's got it for the Premier League enough just yet, but it can't be any worse than where Walker's been for the last, 3 months? What are your thoughts, Andrew?
Yeah. I think Son gets a lot of stick, and unfairly, in my eyes. I thought he played well at the start of the season when he was in the team, or well enough when he was in the team at the start of the season. And then when he has come on, he looks more energised and more up for it than Walker seems to. For me, at the minute, Walker's just riding on the coattails of his name and the history he's got when he was at Man City. Seems like he's undroppable just because he's Kyle Walker in lowly Burnley. And yeah, I feel like it's time for him to be dropped. I don't want him slotting into the right centre-back position. Like if we're going to play that back 5 and have the wing-backs, Son should be that right wing-back. And your 3 centre-backs have to be actual centre-backs. We've tried putting Laurent in there at centre-back. Yeah. It doesn't work. Putting a right back in there, it's not really going to work. Ekdal, I don't know what he's done wrong because whatever chance Parker gets, he drops him. And I think he's had...
There was a comment about that earlier, actually, to be fair.
I think he's had some really good games recently, and for him to be dropped for Chuanzebe to come straight back in, I think it's harsh. So if you're going to play that 3 centre-backs at the back, you have to play Chuanzebe, Steve, and Ekdal. Like you have to play proper centre-backs in that position, for me.
Yeah, David Henderson says Walker can play right centre. Lee Greenwood says Son is the future of that position. Of course, Kieran's being a prat in the comments like he always is. Drop Walker. Have you seen his performances recently, Kieran? The only problem is where I would sometimes maybe agree with that, is that Son might not be ready, as I did say earlier. I feel like that you can probably start making a case for Son. But Random Man does say here, Son in the Premier League, oh Lord, here it comes. Can't get much worse than Walker in the last 5 or 6 games, to be fair. If anything, I think there's been more probably exposure or comments for him to be moving to right centre-back rather than having right wing-back. So it's one of them. Dion, your thoughts on it?
I don't mind Walker as a right centre-back. I do think he's trying to do too much as a right-back. Tuanzebe, for me, needs to be dropped out of all 3 of them. The only reason I'd keep Walker in over Tuanzebe is because where's the leader? There's no leader in that back 5. You take him out. Like, there's no... Everyone's quite young, aren't they? Like, you've got Humphreys. What's that, sorry?
He's not really a leader at the minute, for me anyway. Like, he just stood there watching it.
Yeah, no, I do get that. But I'd still have him over Tuanzebe. Like, I understand you need a back 3, but Tuanzebe makes... I can count like two chances every game just from silly mistakes, silly errors. Like later in the Liverpool game, and then he almost left it for the Liverpool striker to run through, and was it Ekdal's one that had to clear it up for him? He just stood there and nearly watched someone run past him.
Yeah. Notorious BJB comment on screen says we need Raw back fit to take Tuanzebe's players, but then James Smith says no, you don't put Worrell anywhere near that team. Problem is a manager, says Kieran. I agree. For a change. Jordan Rusher says, Parker, for whatever reason, has never properly fancied Ekdal. I just think it's a pace issue with Ekdal. I think that's what it is. He's far too slow. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's one of them. Humphries has been so good recently. There's been some comments here saying, why would you drop Humphries? I don't think anybody said drop Humphries. I missed the comment. But yeah, Humphries is coming now, and he's got to sort of like get in there. Andrew, your camera just went off a little bit there a minute. I'm not sure if it's me or you, but you put your hand up, so I presume you want to say something.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, I think that comment about dropping Humphries was, to me, I completely forgot about him. He has to be in there.
Okay.
Drop two hands heavy out of my back three. Humphries has to be in there.
Yeah, Johan the Great says, Florentino makes a stupid mistake, if not two, every game. Am I the only one who notices it? He stands out on the ball and loses it. I think the problem with Florentino is the role he's being asked to play. He's such a good ball-winning midfielder. And then he's sort of like asked to sort of like, I don't really know what he's asked to do half the time, but it's one of them with Florentino. I think in a better side, a more progressive side, he will do very well. He's brilliant at winning the ball, but then a lot of the times he stays on the ball too much because there's not many options, and then he does end up sort of like losing the ball. Alan says the issue is my internet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask the next question, and then I will quickly change connections to my phone if possible. But what I will do, I'll get into the sort of like the next talking bit now. Andrew, you can talk as long as possible, please. But obviously, and it's not hard for you, Andrew, to be fair. Let's get into sort of like the goal that Burnley scored. For all the mistakes that Florentino makes in a game, and Marcus Edwards as well, because he can still get his stick on Twitter, an absolutely fantastic defence-splitting pass by blonde Florentino, and a great run from Edwards, and a great finish from Marcus Edwards as well. A really, really, really well-worked goal from Burnley.
Yeah, absolutely lovely passing football move. And like I say, for all the stick Florentino's getting right now, it's him who sets the ball up. There isn't a single other player on the pitch who sees Marcus Edwards making that run. And there isn't a single other player on the pitch who is making that run like Edwards does. And everyone knows I've got my own issues with Edwards. I've had so much criticism for him. Yesterday, for me, was his best game in a Burnley shirt, because the issues I have with him making those decisions, not passing the ball when he should pass the ball, running into traffic all the time, pulling out of 50-50s. All right, he pulled out of a few, but he made that run to make that goal. He hit it first time. Absolutely beautiful finish. And yeah, fair play to Edwards, because him coming into the side has created more of an attacking threat from us. And yeah, I just think it's an absolute superb goal.
Yeah, hopefully you guys can hear me. But Dion, your thoughts on that goal, please, mate?
Yeah, it's just quick decision making from Florentino, isn't it? I feel like a lot of our other attackers in that position would have taken a touch or two, wait too long, and then the opportunity passes us by. But he just picks it out, sees it straight away, slots it, and then Edwards buries it.
Yeah, completely agree. As I said earlier in the show, as Big Lou says there in the comments, the passing before the goal was superb. It really, really was. And this is why I do sometimes get frustrated with Scott Parker, because we see glimpses of brilliance from this side here. And they were played very, very well. And this is when we kind of like just took our foot off the gas a little bit as well. And then obviously I was switching internet connections then, so I couldn't bring in the sort of like the second sort of like still of that. Obviously I can't show the actual footage, obviously, as you're all aware. But look at where Edwards ends up, and that's the first time he hits it, I think. So Florentino plays a brilliant ball there. He's there on the edge of the box, making a run. Absolutely leaves the defenders for dead. Obviously you see one of them there diving in at the last minute. But it's such a good goal from Burnley. And that's why I sometimes just think to ourselves, I wish the handbrake would just be released. 1 or 2 clicks, as I've used the analogy a few times now, because that's what we are capable of. And when we play like that, this is at Anfield, by the way. I'm not saying that, no disrespect, but this isn't at home against Wolves or away at Bournemouth, for example. This is a goal at Anfield. Yes, they've not been great recently, but it's still a difficult place to go, and it's still a massive point. And for us to sort of like play the way that we did in the build-up to this goal tells me that if we release a handbrake a little bit more, then we'd be a lot better at sort of like this. What are your thoughts on it, lads? Andrew, I'll come to you first.
Yeah, it's like I say, my issue that I've had with Edwards in previous games, he'd have stopped the ball there and tried to take it past the defender and tried to do a little bit more skill on it. Instead, he decides to hit it first time. And I think Jordan put a comment in before saying that with the talent that Edwards has, he should be scoring goals more. And yeah, I completely agree. But in that moment, he made the right decision. And yeah, like I say, if we go for it a little bit more in games and we lose 2-0 rather than 1-0, I think all of us would be more happy because it's more enjoyable and you're actually seeing that fight.
Yeah.
We saw that fight yesterday. Yesterday's game was very similar to that at Old Trafford, where the first half wasn't great. Second half, we went for it a bit more and nearly got our rewards. We got them yesterday. Yeah, it would have been nice to get 3 points, but we actually stepped onto them. Imagine what we can do against Spurs next week if we step onto them.
Well, that's where we have to now step onto teams. 1-1's as good as a 1-1 at Anfield is, and a 2-2 at home to Man United is. They're not enough for the position that we are in now. We can't just draw our way to safety like Leeds and Sunderland can. We have to start winning games, and it needs to start on Saturday against Spurs. So fingers crossed we do step onto them. And I actually nearly said Theo then. Dion, your thoughts on sort of like the style of play, that sort of like and the way we are and the things that we do. Would you like to see the handbrake sort of like release a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit. I do think we're a bit overcautious at times. Against the Liverpool game, I think we did play it probably about right.
Yeah. You can expect it against Liverpool, can't you?
Yeah, lower teams are teams that aren't in form. I do think we need to be releasing the handbrake a little bit faster. It's not that, it's the transition as well, though, isn't it? Like we build up slowly a lot of the time. Like it's not like out the feet and pass, it's 1 or 2 touches and then pass, and there's no weight in the passes a lot of the time, so we're not breaking in any lines. We just need to be a bit faster and a bit more assertive when we've got the ball.
Yeah, I agree with that. A lot of people as well say my internet connection is much better now. How annoying is that? I'm using my phone now and it's better than my actual physical broadband. However, the Wi-Fi router's too far away, so I need to get something else maybe in this room to make it a little bit better. Anyway, something else. So we'll start talking about individuals now. And one player I really do want to talk about, really want to talk about is Bashir Humphries. I thought he was absolutely superb yesterday. And he's been superb since he came into the side. And it's been absolutely brilliant to see him sort of like playing for us again. Obviously spent a long time out injured and things like that. So it's absolutely fantastic. Dion, I'll come to you first on it. Your thoughts on Bashir Humphries since he's come back into the side and especially yesterday? Obviously cleared one on the line towards the end as well.
Yeah, I think he's the reason our form's upticked a little bit. I think we concede a lot more goals if he's not there. I think officially he cleared 2 off the line yesterday. He cleared 1 against United, didn't he?
Did it?
Like, he's just reading
the second one yesterday, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I saw a stat that he cleared 2 yesterday. But it's that he's reading the play a lot better than a lot of the other centre-backs. He's getting into the right positions to block a lot of shots and a lot of chances. And he can go forward and help create. It's kind of what we needed.
Yeah, it can. So if you wanted to play him on the left of a back 4, he's capable of that. He put a brilliant ball in for Josh Brownhill at Bramall Lane last season. Put a brilliant ball in for Zian Fleming at Ewood Park last season. So he's got a great cross in him. Really does. So yeah, he's very good at reading the game. He's a very good player defensively. And if you want him to get forward and put a cross into the box, then again, he can be that man. Andrew, your thoughts on Bashir Humphries since he's come back into the side, mate?
Yeah, I know I forgot about him before, but I thought he was absolutely incredible. I wasn't as convinced as most people were in the Everton game, I think it was, when he first came back in. I thought he played okay. Everyone seemed to wax lyrical about him, and I didn't think he was as brilliant.
So in the end, everyone's been proven right and you were proven wrong. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, pretty much. I completely agree with Dion. I think that there is no coincidence that our upturning form, all right, we've not won, but there's no coincidence that has happened since Humphries has come back in. Last year, he was absolutely brilliant at left back. This year, he's absolutely brilliant at centre back, and he still likes to get forward. You see him running down the left wing quite a lot. He's absolutely brilliant, and I think he has to be one of the first names on the team sheet. Now, you can see why he was at Chelsea. You can see why he's the next England under-21 international. You can see these things. I think we're lucky to have him. And yeah, I just think he's absolutely brilliant.
Do you not think he's got a bit of a leadership role to play? Like, can see him being a future leader.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I feel like he could do something like that in the future. As Andrew just said, he's come from the Chelsea academy, so he's no mug. He's been one of the better players since coming back into the side. So potentially, yeah. But my next question was going to be, because I've seen some comments saying they'd rather sell Maxime Esteve rather than Humphreys in the summer. But obviously, Humphreys has already had a year in the Championship, as has Esteve, obviously. Do we expect him to stay when, however you want to look at it, it's when we get relegated?
Humphreys or Steve, or both?
Humphreys. Well, Humphreys. We'll talk about Humphreys at the minute, aren't we? I think Steve will be off personally, but Humphreys.
I think he's going a bit under the radar. I don't think he's going to have as many years on him because he's missed so much of the season already.
Yeah,
whereas
I think
maybe.
I
thought that about Nathan Collins. I thought that about Nathan Collins for different reasons. He wasn't injured. He just wasn't. He wasn't playing, was he? Then we brought Nathan Collins into the side towards the end of the first relegation season under Dyche/Jackson, and then next thing you know, he sods off in the summer as well. We lose all three centre backs, and I'm a bit worried. As Andrew, I'm expecting another Claret again at the end. It just seems to be the way the ALK work. I'm not a fan of it, but it just seems to be the way the ALK work.
Potentially, it depends on his performance for the rest of the season, and I know it sounds daft, but realistically, where we end, if we somehow manage to stay up, I think he'll stay. If we go down, which is looking very, very likely, I think we're very lucky to keep him.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. As John says there, we do need to time down to a new contract. If we can do that, happy days. And even if we do sell him, obviously we make more money as well. Another player who played very well yesterday and kept us in the game, in my opinion, was, of course, Martin Dubravka. Now, we've seen quite a few good performances from him this season. Seen a bad one at West Ham as well. Seen a couple of mistakes here and there. But he kept us in that game in the first half. He made quite a few decent saves. And I think it's going to be tight for the man of the match for between him and Bashir Humphreys. But Dion, I'll come to you first again on this one. What are your thoughts on Dubravka's performance yesterday?
Yeah, I think he played all right. I don't think he did more than what we'd expect him to do, though. I think a lot
against Liverpool, yeah, you expect him to be busy, don't you, to be fair? Against Liverpool, you do expect him to be busy. But again, he still keeps us in the game.
Yeah, so I don't think he pulls out many world-class saves that game either, though. I think it's just a solid back six, including him, performance.
Back eight, if you include the two DMs.
Yeah. I'll say back 11, shall we?
Yeah. Scott Parker's having wet dreams about back 11s. Absolutely love it. Andrew, your thoughts on Dubravka's performance, please, mate?
I thought he was brilliant. I know Dion said, there that he didn't make any world-class saves, but I sort of always feel like that's a credit to the goalkeeper. You see Pickford make saves that look absolutely brilliant, but what you'd expect most keepers to save him. It's that term in it, one for the cameras type thing, and I think that's what you get with Dubravka. You get those solid saves because he doesn't want to show off. He's just trying to make a save, and yeah, I just think he's up there as one of the best players we've signed in the summer. And yeah, he's made a few mistakes in a few games, but yesterday I thought he was on it again.
Yeah, I thought he played very well yesterday. Like I said, in that first half, kept us in the game. I'll tell you what we'll do. Because my internet seems to be rubbish again, I'm not going to leave anytime soon, though. We are just going to try and power through. We are going to do the man of the match, but I've done this a little bit differently, so I need to get rid of that to make sure you two come back full screen. Then I'm going to bring this in as well when it works, if it works, because of my awful internet connection again. I don't know if you guys can hear me, but what we're going to do is let's Sorry, let's do the man of the match, lads. I don't know if you can hear me.
We can.
I need to
There
speak
you
to these
go.
people about this internet connection. Right, there you go. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Don't think you can.
No. Joe, we can hear you. Just carry on.
Andrew, do you want to go first?
Yeah, my man of the match was Humphreys for everything that we said before. Absolutely superb. Kept us in it. Could have been Dubravka because of the saves that he kept us in it, but Humphreys, 2 cleared off the line. I just thought he was absolutely brilliant.
I hate Chris sometimes, but I absolutely love him at the same time. Chris says, lend Joe a hamster, Andrew. I need to get on the phone to this internet connection. I've been saying it for weeks, but there we go. Dion/Theo, whatever you want to be called. I might call you Theo Dion. That could be.
That's fine with me. Call me whatever you want.
Theo Dion. There you go. Who's your man of the match, please, mate?
Humphreys just went above and beyond. You can't take it off him. Stop 2 on the line, like I said. We lose without him in the team.
Yeah, you know what? I think for the first time in a while, it's a full house. I'm going Humphreys as well. He was absolutely superb. He really was. Like Dion said there, without him, we lose the match. I think probably the same goes for Dubravka as well. But I do agree with the things that people were saying earlier about the fact that without him, that he wasn't making any world-class saves. He was kind of doing what you expect him to do. But whereas Humphreys was a level above. It really was a level above. Simon says, man of the match, Humphreys. Lahang says, man of the match, Barnes from the bench. Because he got booked. He got booked, and he was the first person celebrating with Edwards when we scored. Alan says Humphreys. MJ Hilser says Bash for man of the match or Dubravka. Jan says Bash or Perez. Interesting. First shout for Perez. Lee Greenwood says Bash or Humphreys, man of the match. Another shout for Perez, Mark Baker. Bashley says Christian. Dave says Humphreys. Andrew says Amdouni won't stay with us, he'll be sold. Fair enough. Special mention for Perez, though, he goes on to say, does Lee. Matthew Edisford says, I thought Perez had a really good game. Edwards says Stewart, the goal alone. Lee says Humphreys, my man of the match. And Simon Woodhouse says Edwards. Edwards, again, I thought he played well yesterday, but I can see we are so much better with him in the side, and I've been banging on for months to start him. But that through ball to Jadon Anthony, it's just like, come on. That stuff like that, where he can where he can frustrate people. But the alternative is JBL, so it's Edwards all day long. Jack McCallum says Edwards a goal scorer. Lahang goes Amdouni will be sold for pennies. Hopefully a few pounds in there as well, lads. But before we go, there's something else I do want to talk about, and I will bring the image on screen now. Is Burnley have been linked with West Ham midfielder James Ward-Prowse, according to The Sun. So that is the bit where it kind of falls a little bit flat on its face. It's according to The Sun. But he's one of them. He's obviously aging a bit, so it doesn't really fit the AOK model. But we also signed Kyle Walker and Martin Dubravka in the summer as well. So I'm not sure if that model is anything that we can follow these days. But he would have the little bit of a spark, I think, in the middle. Especially from dead ball situations, which is something we've really struggled with. His legs may have gone. I haven't seen him play enough this season because obviously he's not really fancied at West Ham anymore due to an issue with the manager. But I think it would make perfect sense to get him in. Will West Ham let him go to a relegation rival, though? That's my question. I would be highly doubtful that they would do that. But Andrew, we'll come to you first, mate. Your thoughts on the rumours linking us to James Ward-Prowse?
Ever since, I think, FIFA 18, I have bought him for Burnley in my career mode. Every single year.
You should be working on the recruitment team at Burnley.
I am desperate to see him in a Burnley shirt. I know that he's getting on a little bit. I know that he is aging a bit. He's not got much game experience over the last couple of years because him and Nuno, for some reason, don't get along. But from what I can tell, it seems like it's always all Nuno. But yeah, with no Cullen at the minute, he's going to be out till the end of the season. So we need someone to play in that Cullen role. Obviously, he's absolutely superb at dead balls, which we've not had someone who can hit a ball half decent apart from Scott Twine. We've not had anyone for years. Yeah, for me, it's a no-brainer. And obviously, if he's available, we go for him. I think it's only a loan, isn't it? That will look like that could be happening as well. So
yeah, his wages are very high, so I think a loan would be the best scenario because if we offer, unless it's just a 6-month contract that we give him, because you don't want to be lumbered with them sort of wages in the Championship, especially if he gets a bad injury. And he's quite injury prone these days, from what I remember.
Yeah, but I can imagine he's not had much game time over the last few years. He's might be on a high wage, but if we can say, look, you're going to come in and play, he might be willing to take a pay cut. So yeah, it's a no-brainer. 100% we have to get him.
Yeah, I'd agree. Lee Greenwood says, would they sell to us? That's what I said. Dominic says, he's the creativity we need. MJ says, need to get Ward-Prowse if this is true. Random Man says, I was shouting for JWP before the season started, so hopefully. Jack McCallum says, I'd take him all day long. He's a dead ball specialist. James Smith says, we should have bought him 5 years ago. That's when he was in his prime. He'd have been 26 then, so we'd have done well to get him then, mate. Notoria says, how bad have our set pieces been this season and how consistent is he from dead ball situations? It's a no-brainer. I'd have Milner over JWP, says Alan Howarth. Jordan says, would be idiotic of West Ham to give us a player like JWP, but he'd be a great signing for half a season. No one in our budget could match his set-piece deliverer. I'd agree. Lee says, wow, what Nuno playing? It's kind of like a falling out from a previous job, if I remember rightly. With Cullen out, Ward-Prowse, was it? With Cullen out, Ward-Prowse would be ideal, could play a pass as a set-piece. Specialist Christian says, why would they care if he joins us if they don't rate him that much, though? Sean Rubinho says, no, and another no. Only West Ham player we should go for is Callum Wilson. He'd also be good in the Championship. I prefer to go in for Ross Barkley. I mean, I'd take Ross Barkley and I'd take Callum Wilson as well. But if we get all three, I mean, it's not going to happen because of the wages. But nothing's linking us to Barkley at the minute, unfortunately. He's far from being past it. He's only 31, says Christian. He's had a lot of injuries. It's more than his age. He's had a lot of injuries. Would be great to see him in a Burnley shirt. That move should have happened years ago when we was linked. Oh, was we linked to him then? Fair enough, mate. I didn't realise we were. Joanne Burrow says, JWP is a classy midfielder. I think he would be a great signing. Get John Joe back, says Lahang. And he also says, I'm joking. So, yeah, definitely not. Milner is 40, apparently. He's younger than me, older than me. Not many people these days who are playing football are older than me. Your thoughts, Dion? Would you go for JWP?
Yeah, obviously his dead ball situations are like to stand out, but also his long balls. When we're trying to transition quickly and you've got Jadon Anthony or Edwards running, you'll be able to pick him out better than anyone else on our team at the minute. We might actually keep the ball longer because of it.
Yeah, do you remember in the... Well, go on, Andrew.
I was going to say one thing as well is that we're forgetting he's a leader. And we're saying that we're quite short on leaders. Were he not the captain at Southampton for like a good few years? You can see his leadership qualities. Like that's something that we're missing without Cullen on the pitch, and I think he just steps in perfectly to replace him.
Yeah, fair enough. If anyone's bothered, the AFCON Cup final is currently 0-0. I don't think anybody is bothered, but the only reason why I'm telling you that is because I'm about to bring the Premier League table up on your screen in just a couple of seconds, just to sort of like give us sort of like an update on where we are. Obviously, everyone down the bottom picked up points, unfortunately, including us. So Wolves, Burnley, West Ham, Forest, Leeds, and Bournemouth, the bottom six, all got points, with three of them being West Ham, Leeds, and Bournemouth. Well, not Bournemouth, because Bournemouth's a week before, they haven't played yet. However, so the bottom five then, all picking up points, with West Ham and Leeds winning, which leaves Burnley still, because obviously Burnley got a draw and so did Forest, 8 points adrift of the safety line. Andrew, I'll come to you first. Your thoughts? Is there any chance whatsoever that Burnley can stay up from this position? Because they have looked better, and it might be looking like we're starting to build a bit of momentum. But unfortunately, it's probably too little too late, isn't it?
You know me. You know I'm.
Oh, here we go. We can stay up. We can until the fat lady has sung.
I know, and I am warming up my vocal cords, but I've got a glimmer of hope after the last couple of games. It's pretty much done. Like
it's done.
It's hard.
It's definitely done.
Hard to see. It's hard to see how we get out of it. Like I don't think any team's been in this situation at this time and got out of it. Or Dominic says that West Brom.
Dominic says West Brom. I don't recall.
Yeah,
I remember.
I don't know
a great escape, but I don't know exactly what the numbers were.
No, but it's not over till Fat Lady sings, and it's going to be a big ask. But I've got a little bit of hope.
It's the hope that kills you, mate. Abandon the hope now. Trust me, you're just going to end up getting hurt. Dion, your thoughts, mate? Do you think Burnley can do it from here? It's not looking good, is it?
It's not looking good. I mean, I still hold on for a little bit of hope as well, but I think we have to win a third of our games to stay up now, and I just can't see it.
We've won 3 all season, and what is a third of our games now? I'm awful at maths. Another 6?
Something like that, yeah. And that'd be touching it as well. Still be like teetering, staying up. So
we'd have to have a dramatic turnaround.
We can do it against those teams that we've still got to play, though. You know.
Yeah, but that's the problem against those teams. Like when we played Palace at home, we just didn't do anything. We just did nothing for the entire game. Just turned up, lost, went on. Palace didn't have to get out of first gear to win the match, and that's the problem.
I think
we look better now.
I think we were worse against those teams than we did at the start of the season as well.
Look at how poor we were against Brighton.
We'll have James Ward-Prowse now, so it doesn't matter, lads.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed the delusion juice that Andrew likes to drink is going to come off. But I'll be very, very surprised. Sean Rubinho says, as I said in a post further up, we need to prepare for next season now. And OK, the side for that, we hope, romps the championship once again. And Notorious says, Bob Hope and No Hope, Lahang. So I'm pronouncing that name all wrong, by the way, Lahang. So please, if you want to tell me how to pronounce it, feel free. But I'm just going to go with Lahang from now on. He says, if Micah Richards believes, I believe. MJ Hills says, we are doomed. Sorry, 9 points with goal difference. Can't see other teams dropping enough points. I wish we can. It's not even the teams dropping the points for me, MJ. I cannot see us winning enough games personally, not to be the doom and gloom monger. Dominic says, West Brom have done it before. We mentioned that earlier. Lee Greenwood says, everybody apart from us and Palace has a win in the last 5. James Smith said the only route was sacking Parker before Christmas. Now the fat lady is taking centre stage. That's what I mean, James, to be fair. Like the fat lady might not actually be singing, but she's just pulling the microphone up, getting ready. She's cleared her throat. So she's not officially sang yet, but it's nearly there, unfortunately. Andrew's taken this chance to have another opportunity to have a go at Scott Parker. He says Parker is incapable of changing anything, to be fair. Honestly, sometimes I put a post up about like a bunny rabbit and he's like, Parker's a disgrace. Like, I love how he just brings anything back to Scott Parker. I actually laugh at the comments. I don't want to end it on such a negative note. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly take a look at the Championship League table to bring something, why is it doing that, a little bit more positive in there for you all before we leave. But just look at the Championship League table there. Who's that in 20th there? What's the point? Oh, it's only 1 point away from League One. So there you go. We'll end it there, lads. We'll end it there on a more positive note because I didn't want to just end it on, I think we're getting relegated. But yeah, we'll see what happens between now and the end of the season. We'll see who Burnley bring in. They bring in JWP and Callum Wilson. They're going to give ourselves a fighting chance. I have been told that we can expect 2 or 3 incomings. So we'll see what happens with that. But before we do wrap it up, lads, because people have started saying great show as always. Thank you, J-Rod. Is there anything that you two quickly want to mention before we do wrap it up?
Fair play to Barnes for getting that yellow card on the bench.
Yeah.
Fair play.
Never change, Ash. Never change at all. Brett Foot says, Callum Wilson will not come. He actually dislikes the club. I was on the Premier League Live and was being interviewed. They were on the break and the presenter said Callum Wilson hoped he would be the player to score the goal to take Burnley down. He said they're a terrible, terrible club and such a negative side. Interesting. You should have headbutted him, is what I'm saying. Barnes still believes, says MJ. Completely agree. Brett goes on to say, thanks, everyone. Well, thank you, everybody. It's only halfway through the season, says Stuart Alderson. It's technically wrong. We have played 4 games over the halfway point of the season, mate. But I take your point. Obviously, the fat lady hasn't sang just yet. It is looking very, very, very bleak, though. But we'll leave it there. As usual, if you join the stream late and you want to watch it back, then don't you worry. As soon as I press end stream, it stays on YouTube and on Facebook for you to watch back at your leisure. And also at some point tonight, I will be uploading the audio to the podcast app. So it will be on all the usual places, Apple, Google, Spotify. Jack McCallum says, Goatcast, I was late. Will it be on YouTube after the stream? You know it will, Jack. And the notorious BJB says, sayonara. Sayonara, Notorious. Sayonara, Andrew. Sayonara, Theo. Sayonara, everyone in the comments as well. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you, everyone, for listening. And we will see you next time.